Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to part 2 of the slime rerun. So, as you know, today we've got a new unit. That's going to be the main focus of today, like always. Interesting thing, something interesting, right? If you haven't already realised or noticed it, I realised it the other day, is the fact that this collab only lasts 2 weeks, and that means that this part 2 banner is only going to last 1 week, which doesn't really give you a lot of time to decide if you want to pawn this character or not. So, yeah, it's kind of... there is a time trial going on right now. I don't know why they didn't make it 3 weeks, because they could have put the time trial in 3 weeks, but anyways, it's just a bit, kind of, just feels a bit on the fast end right now, because the collab's only 2 weeks, which would mean that next week would be the next unit, which is pretty crazy to me. But anyways, today we're going to be looking at the new unit, Benimaru. He looks interesting, and obviously the arc as well. That's going to be the main focus of today, and there probably isn't going to be too much anything else to do really, but should be pretty fun. Let's get this started by having a look at the news, and just have a quick look at everything that's going on today. And by the way, the anniversary is going to be starting very soon in April. So in a couple of weeks, I believe it starts on the 15th of April, which the anniversary is always around my birthday time, which is kind of cool. So let's have a look at everything here. The anniversary is what you should try to save something for, at least, if possible. And I do want to take some time today towards the end to kind of discuss everything about this collab and spend some time to, you know, make sure people know what they should be putting on for and stuff. Honestly, there's nothing crazy in this collab, but there has been a bit more testing with the part 1 units. But like every single unit from this collab is just a damage dealer, so there isn't anything super crazy here, which is fine. Not everything needs to be stupidly crazy. So let's see, obviously we've got part 2 events and stuff happening today, that's the main thing, and the new units and arc, which we'll have a look at in a moment. Historia now has a new boss, and I have done this a little bit. This is quite a nice one actually. They're all pretty strong, they're like the strongest accessories in the game, they're very strong. But this one gives ice damage, and it should give critical rate as well. I don't have it leveled up or made yet, but I had a look, and it gives ice damage, and it seems like it's going to be a very strong one for Amelia especially, but any ice damage dealer of course, but it seems like it's going to be quite strong for Amelia, which is funny. But I do highly recommend to try and focus on doing this, because currently there is a double drops for multiplayer going on right now, so now is a good time to do this, and I'm probably going to be farming that over the next week or two, because I think now is a good time to do it. And training field started today. Tower trials hard. If you haven't done that, they haven't added any. There's no new floors in this one today. It's just they're rerunning this. So if you haven't gotten to 95 yet, then now you have a chance to do that. Beast Mayhem. This banner is what we talked about in the last stream, which is 6,000 paid crystals, and you get one of these guaranteed. And you can't select it, but you do get one that you don't have. So it's usually not recommended to do this unless there's something that you specifically want, because this one only guarantees 1 UR arc. If you're looking for more UR arcs, the other banner is better than this one, but this is more for if you're missing like a specific one that you want and can guarantee yourself. So I would recommend most players to just not do this one unless you're missing a certain few that you want and can guarantee. That's the only time really. And the anniversary countdown. So the 7th anniversary is going to be starting in April, which is going to be in about a few weeks. So let me actually have a look at the dates. So we've got right now is the 19th. Next week on the 26th is going to be the next units, because this collab only lasts 2 weeks. Then after that, on the 9th of April should be the next unit. And then it says the anniversary is on the 19th or the 15th or something. Yeah, I think it's on the 15th, or I don't remember, but it should be starting in a couple of weeks anyways. I think it's on the 15th or 16th. Pulled Hinata's arc 2 times. Yeah, well, At least you got something. I haven't gotten anything from those yet. So this will be fun. Yeah, on the 15th of April, which is, well, technically if you say, that's on a Sunday, it's a weird date. Yeah, I think the schedule's going to be a bit weird. Actually, never mind, I'm looking at the wrong one. Yeah, that's on the 16th of April is probably when it's going to start. So, does that mean there's actually going to be a unit next week? I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But I would expect there to be something going on next week. So, Histomia double drops until the 1st of April. They usually do some kind of April Fool's events. They have done some in the past, so don't be too surprised if there's some kind of April Fool's thing going on, because they do usually do something for that, even if it's something small. But yeah, 19th of March until the 1st of April, you can get multiplayer double drops. So I do highly recommend to do this new Histomia boss if you care about this, because these are end game equipment that are the strongest in the game. So it is recommended to focus on doing this, especially because there's double drops going on right now. But it does take a hell of a lot of grinding, a lot of time to get them. So not everyone's gonna want to do that, and honestly, it's not the most fun thing. It's kind of repetitive, and the boss isn't even that difficult as long as you have someone like that's tanky enough and can do enough damage. Is pretty fine. Like Shiplog Zeus is the perfect unit for all of these basically. And Arena Promotions is going to be on the 23rd of March, and here's one thing I think is quite good. So they've made a change to the base form of Milim for her skill 3. They made the animation time better, so it's more similar to the base form of her skill 3. So if you aren't aware, her insights made her skill 3 slower, so it made it worse. But now they've changed that, so the animation of the skill 3 should feel quite similar to what it was before, which is a good thing, because now it's going to be quite a bit faster and more spammable. So she is going to be a bit better now, and I do like that, because that is going to make her, more usable. If you like the base form of Milim, then she's going to be more usable now. I have heard of a couple of people using her and have been doing well with her. She isn't meta at all, but if you like her, she can be a fun unit to use. And some people have even used her in Arena and have managed to get her to work, but that obviously requires high investment, and she's not going to be considered a meta pick for any content of the game. She's just more of a fun unit. If you like her, then sure, you can use her if you want to. That type of unit, really. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything in the update today, I believe. If I just quickly have a look at this, obviously we've got Benimaru released today, which we'll have a look at in 2 seconds. And I know there is a time trial that has started today. I personally haven't done it yet, because time trial takes a lot of preparing your teams and stuff like that. Also, unit damage rankings is starting tomorrow for 3 days. So there is going to be a lot going on in this next week, because everything feels kind of a bit rushed, because this collab is only 2 weeks long, and we've got a time trial and damage rankings and Histomia to grind, so there is kind of a lot to do in this next week. Hopefully it calms down a little bit after this week, because it just feels like this collab, there's a lot of stuff they want you to do, or at least if you want to take advantage of everything, it is going to take a lot of time. And I don't think there is really anything else here. I'm just briefly checking. Yeah, because all the stuff is the same, so we'll leave that there for the news. There isn't too much there to really cover. And now we'll actually start focusing on the main reason why we're here, is this new banner today. So we've got a new unit and a new arc, of course. They do look interesting. I was hoping he was not going to be PvP focused, but as expected, he is a PvP unit. So yeah, if you don't care about PvP, you probably won't like him that much. But if you like Benimaru, he's probably going to be a decent unit. And he does need a lot more testing, because he literally only just came out today. But I have seen enough to know that I don't think he's going to be that great in PvE content, and he's mostly just PvP focused, especially when you look at his kits and his paid equipment, which we'll look at in a moment. So let's get right into this with the new units first of all. So Benimaru is a creature type unit, because slime has a bunch of creature types, and they, even though they look human, they're not technically human and all that kind of stuff. It is weird, but okay. Fun fact is we do have a lot of fire damage dealers that are collab units. So fire is very common for collab units, and dark. Those are the most two common elements for collabs, and it's just weird because we get that so damn often, and we haven't had a thunder collab unit since Sonic. But anyways, he's got some decent stats. HP, strength, defense is going to be the main focus. Those are the main stats that he's really going to care about as a physical damage dealer, and he should be kind of tanky because you can see already that his defense is pretty high for a damage dealer at least. And then attribute resistances -20 to ice could be a problem, especially considering he's more PvP focused, and most players use Amelia, and she is a incredibly strong unit, as you know, and just insane. So that might be a big problem, and I can already tell it is going to be a big problem because I don't think he has much or any damage mitigation to magic in his kit, and he's mostly against, you know, physical damage and stuff. So Amelia is going to be the biggest counter to this unit. I can already tell that. But the other resistances look okay. +22 light could help against Shiftlog Zeus, if he can even work against that. I've got no idea. Ailment resistances has nil to stun is pretty good. Weak to illness isn't the best, but that kind of sucks, honestly. And he doesn't have any curse resistance, so they could have been better ailment resistances, honestly, because I would have liked to see some illness resistance and curse resistance, because he is meant to be more of a tanky, close range physical damage dealer. And when you're someone that wants to try to be tanky, it's ideal to have some illness resistance at least. So yeah, it kind of sucks. Now let's have a look at his abilities. So I don't think any of these are that crazy, honestly. I think these are kind of bad for PvE content, unfortunately. I don't think they're going to be that great. So let's start this off with skill 1. Interesting thing about this one is this is a long range attack. So this one's a medium area long range attack around the target, which is interesting considering he's more of a close range damage dealer. This one is 7 hits. It looks okay, but I just think it's way too slow. Yes, you can technically spam it, but this skill 1 is just not quick enough. It's just too slow. The animation of it looks cool, it just takes way too long. If it was sped up and was quicker, it could have been pretty good, but the problem is it just takes a long time for this skill 1 to finish, and I'm just not a fan of it because it feels quite slow compared to everything else. So yeah, it might be okay in some situations where you want to use a long range skill, but you're probably not going to be using it that often considering it's not going to be very quick. And then we move on to his skill 2, which I personally like this one. I think this one might be his best skill potentially, because this one could be, it looks decently fast, it's kind of average, but it's good enough, I think. This one is just as a wide area fire combo attack. It's kind of like a jumping attack. We'll see the animations and stuff later on. This one's 13 hits, which isn't that much, honestly, for a skill 2. Could have been a bit higher, but the animation of this looks better at least. And I think this could be the main skill you would probably want to use in PvP, maybe. Either the skill 2 or the skill 3, I think. But the skill 2 could launch the enemies into the air, and I think this could be a good skill. So I do like the look of the skill 2 at least. That's probably one I'm looking forward to the most, is the skill 2. That just seems the most promising to me. And then we've got the skill 3. This one is a closer gap skill, which is nice. I do like having a closer gap skill on close range physical damage dealers, so it is great to have that. And it is a wide area fire combo attack. And this one has low hit counts, unfortunately. It's only got 18 hits, which isn't much for a skill 3, because usually you'll be hoping that the unit would have at least 20 hits on a skill 3 minimum, but ideally 25 or around 25 is the good number for a skill 3, and we have seen higher than that, but that's just like a good number for a skill 3. 18 is on the lower side, the lower end of skill 3 hit counts, so, and it does have kind of a bit of a delay in the middle. It's not my favourite skill 3, honestly. I think it will be decent, and if it has a wide enough area, then it might be able to hit multiple enemies in PvP. It might be decent, but that's going to need some testing with that, honestly. But just for DPS and PvE content, don't expect too much from it, because it's not anything crazy. So that's basically all of his skills. They're not going to be anything super, you know, surprising. They're just kind of a bit below average, I think, because of the hit counts being low and the animations not being that great either. I think the skill 2 animation is good. It's not going to be crazy, but it's good enough. It's just the other two are kind of a bit slower, and I don't think his PvE is going to be that good. His actual DPS in PvE content is probably going to be lacking, especially compared to Hinata, who is the part 1 unit. I think she's going to perform a million times better than Benimaru in PvE content, because they're built very differently. So now let's have a look at his special. This one is a powerful fire combo attack to all enemies, and it's followed by a very powerful fire combo attack to one single target enemy. So the damage cap is increased by 100,000, and the final hit is increased by 3 million instead. So basically, this has 53 hits in total, but the first 52 hits are going to be hitting all of the enemies, and it's going to get plus 100,000 damage cap, and the last hit is going to be single target, and it's going to have plus 3 million damage cap. So I think it could be a decent special, but I don't think it's going to be as good as Hinata's special, because she has insanely high damage cap. But Benimaru could be okay against multiple enemies, I suppose. Yeah, he seems like an interesting unit, but more for PvP though, and he does need more testing. Honestly, I'm not super excited about him, because he's more PvP focused, and I do prefer units that can work in both PvP and PvE content. Like Shiftlog Zayas can work in both content, that's why I like him so much. Yeah, he is more PvP focused, and the part 1 unit is just PvE focused. So you've basically got a choice. Adis likes to do this a lot. It's a common thing in this game where one unit is PvP focused and the other unit is PvE focused, and they've kind of done the same thing here. Well, they've definitely done the same thing here, because you can tell for sure. So if you like Benimaru, he can still work outside of PvP. It's just not going to be meta at all, and it's going to be a bit below average. Well, depending on what the average is, but yeah, you've got better options is what I'm trying to say. Especially if you've got Christmas Rem, he's going to go nowhere near, not even halfway close to where Christmas Rem is, unfortunately. So that's all of his hit counts. They're not that amazing, they're kind of below average, and his special could be decent if it has enough damage cap. It could be okay, because it does hit all enemies, and then it's got a single target attack at the end, so it could be decent. But as a physical damage dealer, I don't think he's going to do too much, because these skills don't look that great to me. But he could be fun if you like him. I think you should probably get some good performance with him, but if you just care about endgame content and meta stuff for PvE content, then he's not going to be a good pick for your accounts, at least. And if you're literally just starting today for this collab, then you're better off picking Hinata over Benimaru, because Hinata has a lot better PvE potential and is considered a better unit for PvE content in general. So that's just kind of what I think. But let's start having a proper look with this unit by having a look at his traits next. So his trait 1, you can already tell it's heavily PvP focused. At the start of the battle, it gives all allies a nullify feint buff, and it lasts until the unit is dead. So that is just a PvP skill right there. You can feint. You can technically feint in PvE content, but it's rarely a thing that you need to worry about. There are like a couple of stages where you could get feinted, but at least in endgame content like Battlegraph Simulator, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Well, there's something in his trait too that you'll be surprised about seeing in a moment, but we'll get to that. So nullify feints to all allies is quite strong for PvP, and it could be quite useful because a couple of units don't have feint nil, like Moment's Archbeing Magus doesn't have feint nil, and Shivlog Zayas doesn't have feint nil. So he could work with some of those units in PvP, just for that buff maybe. And to start the battle, and every 20 seconds, give a physical attack damage taken minus 50% buff to the ally that had the lowest defense at the start of the battle. Durability of 10,000. That probably means it's kind of like a whatever that skill was called that I forgot the name of. that does the same thing to magic, whatever circle, or it's something. It is probably like a shield type effect, where once you take 10,000 damage, you lose the buff or something like that. It could be good potentially, because if it works the same as the other one, then technically you'd have to take 10,000 damage in one hit, which is probably not going to happen. So I think this could be quite good potentially. It depends how it works exactly, and if it does stack with a physical damage taken buff, because it might be considered a different icon. I haven't actually looked at it yet, and it's only to an ally, so it's not to himself. So I can't test it unless you get the unit and put a different unit in the team and see what that icon is, unfortunately. So I can't actually test it myself unless I manage to get the unit. So that's not something I'm going to be able to find out. But to me, because it has a durability, it sounds like it's going to be a different icon to me, because it sounds like it's a different effect. But if that is the case, this could be quite strong, especially if you have a full tank team and this ends up going to someone like Spirit Maiden Sarah. It could be quite a strong buff, honestly. So this could be quite good, and I think it's mostly going to be useful for a full tank PvP focused team, where you have him and maybe another damage dealer like Shiftlock Zeus or someone. And ideally, you're going to want to have a team that doesn't have a squishy unit, otherwise it's kind of useless. Like if you're using an Amelia in your team, then this would end up giving it to her, and she doesn't need it because she's going to be dying anyways. So when you can manage to give this buff to someone more useful, then I think this could be a good buff. Let's see. So he gets even more damage mitigation, by the way. So this trait is heavily PvP focused. You've got Nullify Feints, and you've got giving a physical damage taken buff to an ally, and it re-gives it every 20 seconds as well. And then we've got cut damage taken based on the number of living allies as well. So cut damage taken based on number of living allies. So if you've got a team of 4 units, then this unit, Benimaru, should get 40% damage mitigation, which is quite good. That's a lot of damage mitigation, honestly. And then damage taken during skill attacks minus 40%, so even more damage mitigation. You know what this means? Is damage taken during skill attacks includes all damage, most importantly, counter damage. And I think that's the big key here, is counter damage. This also applies to counter damage, and I think he might do pretty well against Archbeing Magus, because he has a good amount of mitigation, especially against human types, which you'll see in a bit. But yeah, he does have a decent amount of mitigation, and I think he should be able to tank counter units, especially Archbeing Magus, unfortunately. And I say that because I like using Archbeing Magus, and if Benimaru just ends up completely countering Shift Magus, I'm going to be very sad, because I like using him, and I like using counter units. If it forces me to stop using him, I'm going to be sad, but let's hope that's not the case, at least. Maybe Benimaru could change up the meta slightly, but I don't imagine that to be the case. I think he might slot in there somewhere, but I don't think it's going to be anything crazy based on what I've seen so far. So now let's have a look at his trait 2. Getting both units is quite nice. It would be nice to have both units, honestly. They both seem quite good in their respective, content. So trait 2 is more damage focused. Yeah, the learnable skills, I'll look at those after the unit. They are very strong. Honestly, it's a very good arc. I am excited about going over that, because it's a very good one. It's quite insane, actually. So each weapon equipped, increase fire damage by 40% and damage cap by 40,000. So this means that you can dual wield, and he can either dual wield or single wield. You can do both. So kind of like Claude in a way, or other type units where you can do one or the other, because he can work for either way. So this will double if you have 2 weapons equipped, because it says for each weapon you have equipped. So technically if you were to have 100 weapons, if that was even possible, it would be times by 100, which would be quite hilarious, but I'm just saying that's how it works. So here's something quite interesting that I don't think we've seen before, and if we have, then I don't remember, and it's probably been on a unit that's not meta right now, but anyways. Boost physical damage and special damage based on defense. There you go. So the more defense this unit has, the more physical damage he does. So basically it puts his defense stats into his strength stats to increase his own damage, which is quite insane because defense is also mitigation. When you have a unit that scales off of strength and intelligence, they're both just damage stats, right? But when you have a unit like this that also scales off of defense, well, scales off of strength and defense, the more defense you have, the more damage mitigation you're getting, and damage as well. It's quite insane, really. And if you can give him like very high defense with a defense piercing, nullified defense piercing effect, then could be quite cool, honestly, because then you'll have very high strength and defense. It could be nice. So this effect could be quite a strong one, honestly. More defense equals more damage and mitigation. It's a win-win, honestly. It's very good. Yeah, he is a proper like hybrid damage dealer and tank, like a bruiser type unit. He's definitely going to be considered a bruiser unit, not a tank. But you know, the biggest question I want to know is, can he survive a Shiflog Zeus? If he can, he's definitely going to fit into the meta for sure. If he can tank Shiflog Zeus at least a couple of hits, he should work. And also he needs to be able to do damage at the same time. But let's continue. When using a physical attack or special, boost damage cap based on defense as well. So this doesn't have a cap, by the way. It doesn't have a maximum effect. So for every 1000 defense, you get 2000 damage cap. So you're getting quite a lot for increasing your defense. So it is highly recommended to boost his defense by as much as you can, especially in PvE content, because you'll get more damage cap that way. And because you'll be using him dual wield in PvE content, just give him a bunch of defense up stats, like as many as you can, because then you're going to be getting more damage cap from it too, and more damage. So that's very good. Just give him like all of the defense up skills you can, probably in PvE content. But if you're not hitting damage cap, obviously it would be better to go for damage modifier skills instead. But yeah, this would be pretty good. And when using a skill, you can't be interrupted by most attacks. That's also very strong. Having immune to interruption when using a skill, having super armor, incredibly strong. It's going to be very nice. Could use a skill 3, close the gap, and then he won't be interrupted when he's using his skill. So the skill 3 will be guaranteed to go off, and he could be quite tanky as well. So there is some good stuff here for PvP. I can see that already. It just really depends on his actual performance and how much damage he does. That's the big thing that everyone needs to know is, does he hit hard and can he tank the current meta units? Because if he can, then he is going to fit into the meta, but if he can't, then he's probably going to be quite bad. So it's a big difference, really. It's going to need a lot of testing in PvP, and unfortunately we've only got a week to do it because the collab's going to be gone after a week. So yeah, people are going to be busy over the next week because there's a lot to do in this game right now. And with this unit, it's going to need a lot of testing. So I do like these traits, they're quite interesting, but they are more PvP focused. So I wish there was more PvE focused stuff, and I wish his skills were a bit quicker. But if you like PvP, I think he could work there. He could be pretty fun. But he has competition, and it's just the question of if he can compete with the competition. If he can't, then he's probably not going to work. That's just the biggest thing. But based on what I'm seeing from these traits so far, it looks like he could have a lot of mitigation, and he has super armor. So I believe it should work, but I can't say how good he's going to be until other players have tested him out properly in Arena. So let's move on to his passive skills next. He doesn't have any magic spells, he's only got passive skills here. So let's see. Attack at max, defense up max, fighting spirit max, heroism up 2 and 4. Of course, more defense the better, and more strength the better as well. Critical up 2, advanced guard vitals, take less critical damage is nice. Human buster, of course. So it just seems like he's made to counter Arch being Megius, because he's got human buster and, you know, a bunch of mitigation and stuff, high defense, you know. Yeah, he's probably going to work against Megas, which makes me sad because I like using Megas. I like Megas. Auto Grand Brave, Auto EX Fort. First time we've seen this, but of course he would have this because he has, you know, defense scaling, more defense, more damage, and damage cap, so it makes sense that he would have this. Fire Drive and Giga Drive, attack raise 2 and 5, Pose of Glory Fair and Square, more damage, damage cap. And they don't have an ailment. Allure is okay, but he isn't considered a tank, so it doesn't really matter too much. Like, ideally you'd want to have a tank in the team as well. He's not going to be the main tank. You'd want to have someone like Megas in the team, or Melzer or someone, to be the main tank with him, ideally. But maybe he could try to be the main tank. In the perfect world where he can tank and do damage at the same time, then maybe. But okay. Less speed, more movement speed, shockwave is nice. Favor sword form 2 is very nice. Mostly for PvP though, because you're not going to be single wielding in PvE content because he's got dual wield right here. So you're going to be dual wielding in PvE content and single wielding in PvP content, basically. And you do get more damage in PvP from single wielding because of this skill giving 30% more damage. So yes, you'll be losing out on a little bit of damage when dual wielding, but you will get damage back from this trait too. I mean, it's kind of weird, but you can't get this bonus twice if you're single wielding. But it's kind of like a choice of if you want to do one or the other, really. But it's fine. I just wish... I mean, units that can do both can sometimes work. Like, I think Claude was done very well, and there are a couple of units that have, you know, been very well with either dual wielding or single wielding, but sometimes it just feels a bit scuff, you know? Like, it sometimes feels like some of the skills are wasted. But, like in this case, where if you're dual wielding, then this skill's wasted, you know? Just kind of feels bad when that happens. Sword Giga Boost, Sharp Eyes, Doggy Dog 3 is more damage, and it does apply in PvP as well, so it's mostly a PvP skill. Cloak of Majesty, Sleeping Lion. When close to death, restore HP, increase movement speed and strength, adds to your grabber speed. It's quite nice. Yeah, any unit that can tank and do damage at the same time is usually a pretty strong PvP unit. The question is if he even gets insight. Like, if you're thinking about insight right now, what are you even thinking? Like, dude, seriously? He just came out today and you're like, insight, now? But yeah, I get it. It really depends on his performance though. Let's see, he's got... These are his unique skills, so let's have a look at these now. First one, when only one other ally other than this unit has a creature type, he gets 20% more stats apart from health, which is quite nice. So I mean, there are not many creature type units, so you're not going to be, you know, using a creature type unit in most cases, unless you give a mimicry type to someone, but he's fine, I guess. I just think in most cases it's going to be not doing anything for you unless you put on a mimicry skill. Yeah, well, Diablo and Veldora don't even have a insight yet. We don't even know if these newer units are even gonna get insight. It's a problem. I would just not worry about him getting insight, because I just don't think it's gonna happen. Just don't expect it. Otherwise, you'll be waiting like many years and it may not even happen, so just don't get your hopes up on it at least. At the start of the battle, when another ally is incapacitated, give this unit a buff to increase the damage of the next skill used by 60%. This one's quite strong, and it is mostly for PvP again, as you can see. Yeah, PvP. All over the place, just PvP on this unit. 60% damage for the next skill that you use. Whenever defeating an enemy, boost strength and defense maximum 100% of 5 times. This is quite insane. This skill is a very strong skill, and it is just PvP focused for sure. So, 60% damage for the next skill you use, which comes back every time an ally dies. And whenever he kills an enemy, he gets more strength and defense. And 100% stats is a lot. Technically it can work in PvE content too, because you get more stats per enemy you kill. Like in Tower or something, but like, I'm just coping there. It's not going to be good there, I'm just saying. But yeah. In guild battles, you're going to be killing skellies and stuff, which is you're gonna get the maximum boost of this, I suppose. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to work well there because the skills are a bit slow. So yeah, it's still a nice skill though for PvP. And the next one, when you have a sword equip, increase physical damage and special damage, and damage cap. Equip weapon strength plus 200%. When physically attacking, chance to break enemy guard, which does stack with shockwave. Chance to nullify enemy guard. This one has a chance to break enemy guards. They're probably the same thing, right? Even though that it says a chance to break guard, chance to nullify guard. It's probably just the same thing, even though it's a different wording. ADIS be like that sometimes. But still, it's quite a nice skill. If you're dual wielding, you're getting 200% strength for both of your weapons, so that's pretty nice. That's pretty good. And the next one, when using a skill or special, chance for 100% damage and 50,000 damage cap for that skill. That entire skill, by the way. I wonder what the chance is. I don't know the exact numbers until Goldmine gets updated with it, which will take a while. But when this does activate, and you also have this buff for 60% damage, I mean, in theory, there seems to be a good amount of damage here. Like, it seems a bit worrying to me. Yeah, it seems a bit worrying to me that he's got effects that increase damage by a lot, but also has a lot of mitigation at the same time, which for PvP is very strong. So he could be pretty good. I can see the vision, I can see it. It's just, if it actually works in practice, who knows. So the next one here, at the start of the battle, I like this one by the way. At the start of the battle, boost strength and defense and restore all skills SET based on the number of types allies have. So maximum of 48% strength and defense, and recover 32 seconds of SET for all of your skills. This is a insane skill, but you have to use mimicry type skills on your units to get the most out of this skill. So ideally, you're going to want to have Blaze Garden on someone with mimicry skills on someone. So yeah, we don't really know how many you need to have to get the maximum boost. No idea. I wish they told us. We're going to have to wait and see what Goldmine says once Lake updates it. That's like the only way to find out. He's dual wield and single wield. He's going to be single wielding in PvP and dual wielding in PvE, if you're even going to be using him in PvE, because he's not even going to be good there. But if you like him, it can work at least, but there are better options. But if you like him, do what you want. Not going to, you know, judge you for that, but still, he's mostly PvP. And the last one here gets even better. Continuous high protection effect. Great. Even more damage mitigation. And high magic barrier effect. doesn't really help because he doesn't have any damage mitigation to magic. Well, he doesn't have much magic damage mitigation, so it's probably not going to help, but maybe, probably not. And when you have an armor equipped, take 35% less damage just all the time. Amazing. To everything. Very good. And nullify defense and mind cut debuffs from active skills, excluding some debuffs. So he can't get defense and mind debuffs. I think Battlestar effects like Theopolis will still apply, but any debuffs that the enemy actually casts, he will nullify. So this is very strong for more damage mitigation. It's quite a good one. Yeah, it'll take him many years for that to even happen. I think this is very good. A lot of mitigation, just mostly a mitigation focused skill, honestly. But like 35% mitigation plus the 40% damage mitigation and 40% damage mitigation again during skill attacks is a lot of mitigation already. And the fact that he's going to have high defense and scale off of defense for more damage, and you know, sounds pretty good so far to me. And let's see his 6th enhanced skills, the transcend type skills. So more skill damage cap. This skill, which I hate so much, it sucks because why is it on this unit? It shouldn't exist. I hate it that much. You know why? Because this just gives damage cap when you're single wielding. And like I said, you're never single wielding in PvE content, so this skill is useless. It would have been useful if it gave some damage, because it would have given him damage in PvP, but no. It just gives damage cap, so it's just useless. It's a useless skill for this type of unit, because you're not going to be single wielding outside of PvP. So yeah, it kind of sucks. Wish they would have changed this to something better, or at least improved this to be somewhat useful, but no, it's just a completely useless skill, unfortunately. 20% damage mitigation, boost HP and defense by 20%, and 20% more physical damage and damage cap. When you have a fire weapon, more damage and damage cap, and human shields, great. Take 30% less damage from humans, which is quite good. It's a lot of damage mitigation, honestly, especially against like Archbeing Magus and any human type units. I don't think is enough to tank Amelia. Unfortunately, I don't see it. I don't think it's going to happen. But against any human type damage dealer in PvP, he should be able to tank them. But god types like Shiflog Zeus, who knows? Maybe, but that's going to need some testing for sure. So I have to say, his kit looks pretty good when you're thinking of PvP. If you're just looking at PvP, it seems like he has some potential for PvP, because there's a lot of damage here, and a good amount of damage mitigation as well. And he can be single wield in PvP. So, and he's going to have high defense. I think he could be pretty strong in PvP. It just is down to testing, and if he can even tank the current meta units like Shiflog Zeus and Talistio and Amelia and Magus. If he can tank those units, or at least some of those units, I think he's going to fit into the meta and be pretty decent. But if he can't tank those units at all, then he's going to be kind of useless. But I think, based on what I'm seeing, he should be pretty good in PvP. Mostly Arena, he's going to be pretty good there. Because I'm just seeing a lot of damage mitigation. And skills like this, that give 100% damage, and this 60% damage buff, you know, all of that stuff stacking together and having a lot of damage and damage mitigation at the same time, there is some, you know, potential here to be good in PvP, and in Arena mostly could be pretty strong. And if he can kill Melzer, that also matters, because he should be able to kill Melzer. Like, there's no way he doesn't kill Melzer, because he's got Human Buster and high stats, so he should be able to kill Melzer. If he doesn't, I'm going to be disappointed, because he should be able to. And no one's building creature types mitigation or fire damage mitigation, so I would expect him to kill Melzer. I would expect him to kill, you know, I would expect him to be able to tank Archwing Megas and probably kill him in a way. So he should be good, right? Like based on his kit at least, he should be good. Yeah, I don't have Hinata myself, so I haven't tested her. But she does better against demon types, but she can work outside of it. But unfortunately, she's still not as good as Christmas Rem. But she is pretty good. I do still think she's a fun unit, but I am realizing that I don't necessarily need her. I just think she'll be a fun unit to have. But yeah, about Benimaru, I think he's going to be quite good. He's mostly for PvP though, and he doesn't provide anything outside of PvP really. So for that reason, I am not going to be chasing for this unit because it's just a PvP focused unit and it doesn't provide much to your account apart from arena, you know, really. So if he gave some more supportive buffs and some PvE potential, I would have considered this to be a very strong unit for your account if you cared about, you know, more content than just PvP. But this is just a PvP unit. Yeah, I did try to pull her, but I didn't get anything from part 1 yet. So yeah, that kind of sucks. I didn't manage to get anything in part 1. Yeah, her numbers are pretty good. Hinata's numbers are pretty good, honestly. It's like between 6 and 7 million, and I mean it. It's not a joke. I'm saying the numbers, the exact numbers. It's between that. So it is pretty good. Yeah, so I will come back to Benimaru in a little bit. Seems very strong for arena, and I think he could be fun, but outside of PvP, I don't think he's going to be very good. So I'm not going to be pulling for this unit. If I get him, then great, sure, I'll probably end up using him, but I'm not going to be pulling just to get this unit because he only provides arena, you know, potential. And if you already have existing units like Shiflok Zeus, he may not even be necessary. He could be a fun unit to mess around with, so it could be fun to have him. And for that reason, he could be fun to have, but not necessary. And Sholti is kind of a bit outdated at this point because there are a lot more options now. Now let's have a look at the arc. This arc is quite insane. If you haven't seen it yet, you're going to be surprised. This arc's quite good, and this is the main prize of this banner that most people are going to be trying to pull for because it's a very good one. Let's have a look at what it does first of all. So, the trait on this one, increased fire skill damage by 45%, which is quite nice. When close to death, very greatly restore HP and get a physical damage plus 35% buff once per wave. That could be interesting. But who could even take advantage of this? Maybe Benimaru could take advantage of it. Honestly, could be quite good. But if you already have a physical damage buff, then it's probably not going to be doing too much. But still, it's quite a lot of damage there. When the skill Shanon's Cooking is Terrible is set, status ailment healing speed minus 10%, but increased skill damage cap by 8,000. So that's this learnable skill. We'll have a look at that in a moment. It's an okay trait. It's decent. It gives quite a lot of damage potential for fire damage dealers, but isn't anything crazy really. But if you can take advantage of the fire skill damage and the physical damage buff, it is quite strong. Yeah, I do agree. I think his skill animations should have been a lot better. So the learnable skills on this one is where it gets a million times better. So the learnable skills are very strong. Morning Tide is a very good skill if you don't have it. It's a very good one. Fire Drive, Armor HP plus 2. Physical Weak Point Shield is the first time that we've seen this. When taking a physical attack and it's weak to an attribute, you take 20% less damage. We have Magic Weak Point Shield. Now we've got Physical Weak Point Shield, so this is just for PvP and most of the guild battles. It's a pretty good one. And the next one here, Shinon's Cooking is Terrible is a funny skill name. Increased strength by 20%, but at the start of the battle you get Deadly Poison for 7 FC. I think it's good because 20% strength for 7SC, I think that's considered pretty decent. It's not anything crazy, but if you're struggling to hit damage cap against bosses that have incredibly high stats, then this could help. It's another skill that can stack more strength ups, so it could be a useful skill. And as well as that, the deadly poison is technically considered a negative, but you might be able to like turn that into a positive based on like some skills and certain units that can do things with ailments, but it's mostly for the strength you're going to be using this for. 20% strength. The deadly poison doesn't really matter in PvE content really, so it is a nice skill. But this next skill I'm just about to show you is one of the best skills for damage that I've seen in my life. It's that good. So Tempest for Heavenly Kings, if at least 3 allies have this skill set, then it increases skill damage by 30%. But this skill costs 7 SC. The biggest downside with this, the only downside this has, is you have to put it on all of your units. And 3 allies have to have this. But, guess what? Technically, it's 7 SC for 30% skill damage, which is insanely strong. And you can use this anywhere. Anywhere in the game, you can use this and it will be very good. Because 7 SC for 30% skill damage, that is a steal. That is super cheap in comparison to everything else that we have. And just to compare, on average, it's about 4 SC per 10% damage on average. But this is giving 30% for 7 SC. So 8 SC would be 20% on average. But this is giving 30% and it's 7 SC. So if that doesn't tell you how good this skill is, I don't know what will, because this is just so strong. You're going to be seeing this in PvP and in PvE, just anywhere. Anywhere that you have a full team, this is going to be insanely strong as long as you remember to equip it on all of your units. Then it will be very strong. And the fact that it costs 7 SC mean you can put it on your first free skill slot skill. So if you have a plus 10 unit, you can make it free because it's 7 SC, and that rhymes. Wow. But yeah, it's so good. Yeah, all units will get it because it says increase skill damage 30% if 3 allies have this skill set. And you know what this implies though, is you need to have a team of 4 because it's saying 3 allies. So I don't think it includes the current unit that has it equipped. So in content that you can only have 3 units, I don't think it's going to do anything because it says 3 allies, which implies 3 other units that's not the current unit. So when you have all 4 units in your team that have this equipped, every single unit in your team is going to get 30% skill damage, which is insane. Yes, it's going to be some wasted SC on your support, but it's fine because it's such a good skill, and you can maximize your damage, which is super important for basically all the content in the game. Yes, it's a PvP skill, but it's not just a PvP skill, okay? Because you can use it outside of PvP, and damage does matter outside of PvP. Like in Battleground Simulator, against the high difficulty bosses, you will struggle to hit damage cap against some of those bosses, and it is kind of difficult to hit damage cap. So this is a very good skill, and is one of the best skills in the game for damage. So I have to say, if I don't manage to pull this arc, I will be buying it because it provides a lot for your accounts. It's going to be a skill you're going to be using forever because it's such a good skill to have. It's a very good skill. It's insanely good. It's not game changing. It's not on the same end as like Purple Orb or anything like that. It's just an amazing skill for damage, right? So it's pretty basic. It gives damage. Not anything super game changing mechanics or anything like Honey Elixir or stuff like that, but it is one of the best damage skills that we have access to. So yeah, I know I'm allowed to wail. I can do what I want. It's a very good skill. I want to do it. If I didn't do YouTube, I probably wouldn't do it. But you know, let's have a look at the arcade rewards. This one's okay. Doesn't really have anything crazy on it though. HP and strength, HP recovery from allies' active skills plus 10%, and increase HP by 10%. Also gives poison resistance and illness resistance. It could be okay on units that scale off of HP. On the rare units that increase damage cap based on HP and stuff like that, it could be decent to maximize health. But apart from that, it's not going to be that good. It's not great outside of that. So it's only got like one use, which is just for if you want to maximize health, that's it. So yeah, not the best, but the main value from this arc is definitely the learnable skills. These three are very strong. I love these skills, especially this one the most, and this one could be quite useful too. Yeah, well, I've always been a person to spend on gacha games, and I've done that for like, I don't know, more than 10 years at this point. I've done it for a long time, but don't worry, I don't have an addiction. It's not like that, it's just that I enjoy them, okay? I like the fact that gacha games get continuous support and that kind of stuff, so that's why I play them. I've always been doing this stuff. But yeah. Sure, why not? Your job is just to laugh at my face, basically. Great. Sure. But yeah. This arc is very good. Is it worth pulling just to get it? I would say yes, a little bit at least. But is it worth the pity? To some people it will be worth the pity, honestly. But not for everyone. Because it doesn't give you anything super game changing, right? Even though it does have some insanely strong skills, it's not technically necessary. So you can work without it. It's just, it would be a very good one to have. And honestly, you know, it's going to be quite a big difference. But it's not worth for some players. Some players it's probably worth pitying it, but I'll leave that up to you really. Because it's a collab arc, it only lasts a week, you know, it's going to make you want to pull, but do you actually need it? Probably not, because you can work without it, but I'm going to get it because I want it. Okay, but yeah, I'm going to leave that there for this banner for now. I think it's a decent banner, honestly. It has a unit that needs more testing, but he has some potential for PvP. I think he could be quite good there, and it also has a very strong arc in here, so I do think this banner is quite good. I think part 2 is going to be better than part 1, only if you don't need the part 1 units, because if you already have an Arta, easily just go to part 2. If you don't have anything yet, like me, I think part 2 is better because of the arc, and if you already have Christmas Rem, part 2 becomes better. But if you don't have a current meta damage dealer for PvE content, then it might be better to go for part 1, because the unit is better. If you're missing Christmas Rem, then this is probably a better banner. But unfortunately the arc isn't that good. It isn't as good as the part 1 arc, so it doesn't provide too much. It has some useful things in it, but it's not that crazy. Part 2 arc is just very strong. So yeah, it's kind of up to you and what content you care about and what you have on your account. It always depends on, each person's account is different, so it's hard to recommend everything, but basically if you have Christmas Rem, probably skip part 1 and try on part 2 to get the arc. If you don't have Christmas Rem and you're missing a top tier damage dealer, then part 1 might be better. And if you're just re-rolling right now, then part 1 is probably better because of the units, maybe. But the part 2 arc does have more long-term value for your accounts. So ideally you would try to re-roll for both, but that's kind of difficult. If you're focused on PvE content, then most of this becomes kind of redundant, right? You don't really need any of it if you're just focusing on PvE content. If you literally just ignore Arena entirely, then basically every single unit here is useless if you don't care about PvP. And the most useful arc in here is actually Storm Dragon Veldora for PvE content, for name giving. You can use that on Christmas Rem. If you have Christmas Rem, Storm Dragon Veldora is a must-have if you have Christmas Rem, in my opinion at least. Well, if you have those two units, I think Hinata's probably better. Yeah, Hinata's going to be a better damage dealer. It's probably up to you, but she will be better at least. She is going to be better than Shiflog Zeus and Great Wolverine, Telestio in PvE content for DPS. But if you can, that's if you can use Honey Elixir or something like that to give her SAT for her skill 3, because her skill 3 is her highest DPS. Now let's have a look at his paid equipment next. So his paid equipment is, you know, it's actually very good, and I don't like the idea of these. Yeah, they can technically work in the same team, it's quite good. So he's got a weapon and an accessory, which is, you know, makes me want to puke all over my keyboard. But let's have a look at the sword first. So HP and strength. I don't know why it doesn't give any defense, it should have. So 5 skill and special damage, 40%. Anti-type skill damage cap. Magic and counter damage taken minus 15%. It's pretty basic. It's a good one though. 40% damage, some damage cap, and some damage mitigation. I don't think this one's necessary, honestly, because there are other sword options. There is Kagosuchi. If you have Kagosuchi, then you'll have that fire sword to use, and that'll be just fine. And that's definitely what I would consider using instead of this. But if you don't have that one, then either use just any normal fire sword or Muramasa. It's probably better to use a fire sword if you have one. But yeah, I don't consider this to be worth getting unless you want to maximize his PvP potential. That's the only case. And now the accessory, if you haven't seen this one yet, prepare your eyeballs because I don't like this one. It's yeah, let's just show you. Okay, so it gives strength and defense, but the traits is nullify anti-creature type effects from enemies and increase fire skill damage by 30%. And it also gives ice and earth resistance and curse resistance. This is one of the strongest accessories I've seen ever. Well, not ever, but like one of the strongest paid accessories that we've had in quite a long while. That especially one that does not cost 50 credentials. It's a 25 credential paid accessory, which is insane, because nullifying creature type effects is a massive thing for PvP content, and this should have been in his base kit. This effect right here that nullifies Slayer's effects should have been in its base kit instead of being locked behind this paid accessory, because having this tied to a paid equipment is terrible. And I know they're trying to sell this to you, but it does feel like you're missing a huge chunk of the unit's kit, especially for PvP, if you don't have this, because nullifying creature type effects from enemies is an insane amount of damage mitigation in arena and guild battles, because you're not going to take Slayer damage and all of that, you know. That's a lot of Slayer damage, by the way. So that's insane. And you also get 30% skill damage, and you also get ice resistance, earth resistance, and curse resistance. You got everything here. If you could get one, you get this one. No questions asked. This is the one everyone gets. doesn't matter if you care about PvP or not, this is the one you get, because there are other options for weapons, but there are no other options for accessories that can compete with this, which is the biggest problem, is nothing can come close to competing with this accessory. That's the problem. Like, yes, you can give him some damage accessories, which increases damage by like 10 or 15%, but the main thing is the damage mitigation from nullifying creature type effects. That's why it's so good. So, if I get this unit, I'm gonna get this accessory because it's so good. And if you don't have it, it's quite a massive difference for Arena, especially top tier Arena. It's like a no-brainer. It's a game changer for some units. Like Jian has a similar effect where Nullify Slayer. It's such a strong effect. I don't know why they tie it to paid equipments. It's just really annoying. I wish they didn't do this. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it feels like you must have it. And for players that don't want to spend this to get it, or just, you know, are free to play, it feels terrible because you can't make the unit, you know, as good as you could because of this one accessory right here, and it is annoying. So, yeah, it's a very strong one. I do recommend getting it if you have, you know, paid crystals, and if you care about arena meta, then maybe, but I don't recommend to get it yet. I highly recommend to wait for testing. Yeah, if his animations were a lot better, he could have been a very good unit like Claude used to be, because Claude was a very good unit in like all content. When he came out, it was so good. His skill 3 was insane. I liked using him a lot. It was a meta unit for like a year or even longer, I don't remember, but he was so good. But yeah, Benimaru, very good. This accessory is a must-have if you care about top tier arena and want to make him to reach his maximum potential. This would be kind of necessary. But if you're free to play, then it's going to suck, and I know that it will suck because not being able to nullify Slayer is a big thing. It's, you know, at least it's not a 50 credential paid is all I can say from that. So I'll leave it there for his paid equipments. If I get the units, that's a big if, then I'll get the accessory. If I don't, I'm just going to ignore it. I'm just trying to get the Arc. I want the Arc the most. I don't care too much about the unit, even though he would be fun to mess around with. I'm not chasing for it. So, I think that's everything in part 1 that I wanted to do for the moment. So, we should probably do some summons, I think. And I'm just checking. I did get all the tickets in the event, I believe. Because if I go to the bottom, they would be at the bottom. Got him and his Arc. That's pretty great. That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, the Histomia accessory is gonna be... He has, like, such high potential for PvP. Like, that fire accessory, which I'll just show you, for anyone that doesn't have it, is this one. You know, this one on him is gonna be such a good one. Benimaru would love this. It doesn't give any defense, but still, it's going to be such a good one. You can have that plus his pet accessory is going to be insanely strong. But yeah. My plan for today is to hopefully get the Arc if possible. I really want the Arc, that's the one thing I'm trying to get the most. The units, I'm not too fussed about. If I get him, then sure, I'll use him and try him out with his pet accessory. But I'm mostly looking for the Arc on part 2. I still don't have anything from part 1 yet. And I would like to get Hinata, but honestly, She isn't necessary because I've already got Christmas Rem, so technically I could skip part 1 because I don't actually need anything. Nothing in part 1 is necessary for my account, so I should probably skip it if I can help it. That's a big if, because I usually can't. Yeah, he's gonna be quite tanky, I can imagine it. I mean, I don't have that many paid crystals. I've seen a lot more. But yeah, let's use the tickets that we have. I would like Kanata, but I'm not going to be pulling super hard, even though she looks like she could be fun. So I'm going to use my 8 tickets first, and then we got 2 10 pulls, and then we have lap 1. And then if we don't get the arc from that, I'll do some single pulls and see if we can get the arc if possible. So let's see how it goes. I'm hoping it's better than part 1 because I haven't got anything from part 1 at all. I really want this arc, desperately. It's such a good one. I would really like to get it. It's the one thing I would at least like to leave this collab with that arc if possible. It's probably just a gold, but I'll watch it anyways. And it could be a red, but needs animations. No. Yeah, not enough animations. Do a friend summon first. I usually don't do that. But I'll prove to you that it doesn't matter. And if it does, then I don't know. I got 10 million friend points. They should really, you know, make it so you can do more than just a 30 pull in friend gacha. Like, using this amount of friend points would take many hours, and I don't want to do that. I don't really do rituals. I mean, sacrificing bunnies and that kind of thing, maybe. It's more up my alley. Not really. Come on, let's get some stuff. No, this is bad. Four reds. That's a lot of reds. I got 0. Well, and the last temple ticket that we have is the last chance I have for tickets. Can you at least give like a beach background? Yes, thank God. There's a red in there. Is it going to be new is the question we want to know. No gobble, so I don't expect there to be anything in there. Don't take my luck, you bastard. I need it. I need the arc, like now. I need it. Now is the chance. No, it's not. There's nothing in here. Only Adele showing up. That's something. I don't know what that animation means, though. I think that means the unit, isn't it? I don't remember. That's just Kyle jumping off. What the hell? I haven't seen that animation before. Yeah, it's probably the unit. Okay. Well, that's good. It's something from tickets. But I was looking for the arc, which I still want. But, you know, that's great. That's good I got something at least. That probably means I should, I think I just need to, you know, buy the arc and then I'm done, you know. I'll do that one, we'll do that one. And I do kind of want to get his accessory. But I feel like I should probably wait for other people to test him first before buying that. Yeah, that's a funny summon animation, I have to say. It's literally Kyle just jumping into oblivion, just like You know, it's like the Simba clip of, you know, throwing off a cliff. It's like that, basically. But, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I don't expect anything from these. That's like what I said. Yeah, there's so many animations that I can never be sure what they exactly mean. Because before it was very clear of when you got a unit and when you got an arc, but I can't memorize all these animations and I haven't even seen all of them yet, so yeah. No, you know what the game is telling me, okay? That animation was the game telling me to throw Kyle off of a cliff. The game was telling me I should hate Kyle more often because that will give me luck. Yeah, no red in there. Kind of expected that, but okay. No, Kyle's not. I don't. You know, Kyle's not the best protagonist, okay? I'm not a fan. He's okay, but he's just kind of the generic main character that is an idiot. And I'm not really a fan. I prefer other characters. Let's use his ticket. There's probably nothing in here, but try anyways. Yeah. Okay, well, I did all those cheap summons. I managed to get the unit, which is great. But because I got the unit, I feel like I have to get the accessory. Do I prefer Arc? No. Arc, I don't like Arc either. Who likes Arc? I don't know a person that likes Arc. He's just a little string bean. Right? I'm not a fan of him either. I like Balezar, Logzaeus, Leonardo's pretty cool. Uh, I like Lily. There's a lot of characters I like the design of. Linus is cool. Um, I like Roland, actually. Roland is the one I like the most. If there was a main character, I would pick Roland. If there was a male main character, I would pick Roland. He's better than Kyle. I'll fight you on this one, because I'm not changing my mind. I know I'm right. Okay. Adele's... I'm not a big fan of Adele either, because he's just a dumbass. Just like Kyle, he's a dumbass. I mean, Adele's was okay. Like I liked him at one point, but it turned out he's just a dumbass like Kyle is. So I lost interest. I like Roland. Yeah, well, I like it more serious and not just a stupid dead stupid idiot. You know, I like Roland. Okay, Roland would be the main pick for me, and I've always liked Roland. Bayland was nice, but then his young form came out and kind of made me lose interest on the whole character, so yeah. What do I want to do with my summons now? I think I'm going to get his accessory, okay? Because I do want to, you know, I got the unit, so I've done, the hard part is done, so I'm just going to get his accessory now. I said I was going to do it, so I'll do it. And it's a collab, so you're probably thinking to yourself, I know you're judging. Before you say a word, you're judging me. I know you're judging. I say a lot of the time that I don't care too much about PvP, and here I am right now pulling just for an accessory that is good in PvP. Well, it's not my fault the game gave me this unit instead of the Arc, okay? The game decided to give me the unit when I was just trying to get the Arc. So you can't blame me on this. The game decides that it wants to give me PvP focused stuff. Of course there's not going to be anything in there. Kind of expected that. I know there's going to be a lot of people judging in my guild at least. They like to do that. Not surprised. Let's do 4 singles, and then we got the paid accessory, and then we're done in part 2. And you may be thinking, well, what about the Arc? I'm going to get the Arc, okay, but I'm going to try and take my time on it. Either with daily singles or buying it at the ends. That was weird. Some people would have liked to get this Arc. I know a couple of players that really want this. Sad for them. I mean, kidnapping Tharia and all that stuff, all that was in the past. I think that was 2 or 3. I don't know why I count. It's because I can't talk and count at the same time. I have a problem of where counting and talking can't be done at the same time. Okay, there's the last one. The last one we're doing in part 2. And then we get the accessory. And then we're done for now. And I might do a couple of part 1 pulls maybe. To try and get Hinata if possible. That's probably a bad idea. But I don't know. Yeah, let's get this now. They both look, here's the thing, they both look like a sword. They both look like swords, because this is the sheath, this is the actual sword itself. Don't buy the wrong one. This is the one you want. There you go. I'm not going to be doing any more paid crystal stuff until towards the end of the collab. I think my plan for part 2 for the moment is going to be doing this daily gacha pull for the next couple of days. I could get another ticket tomorrow, or technically today, when the reset happens. Try to get the Arc. If I don't, I'll just buy it. I don't necessarily have to have it now, but I will need to have it before the collab's gone at least. So I'll do a few single pulls in part 1 because we got the part 2 unit, just to extend this a little bit. And I still think the part 1 unit's good, but I'm not going to do too many. I'm just going to try and get a couple reds. It's not gambling. I'm just, you know... Yeah, it's only 2 weeks. 4 singles will get some in, maybe. I'm going to try to aim for 1 or 2 reds and hope that they give me one of the 2. I would prefer the unit, but that's sad. That's very sad. Nope. I'm not going to do as many pulls as I did in part 1. Last one, yeah, well, I never said I was going to listen to what you said that I would do. The next red is the last one, okay? I don't technically need anything in here though, but I like Hinata, I still like Hinata, okay? Yeah, the part 1 is painful. It's been bad to me as well. I always like to try and get one of the 2 from each banner. Tharia is always bad. Tharia has never been good in my life. Well, she has in the past, but ever since they changed the animations, Tharia has been bad. So this is a gold. I told you. I get more luck with Zekus than I do with Tharia now. And Lilibet always gives nothing. The only time I've ever gotten something was from Zekus showing up. I'd like to see one beach. The next beach animation we see is going to be the final, if that even happens. Don't need to pull too hard though. How many have we done? I don't know. I never count because I don't bother counting. There's no point. Come on, beach or something purple. You know, read a star country, whatever. We're not going to be here all day, okay? Trust me. I've got, by the way, I think I have all the medals, all the tickets. Now, there's still one ticket left that I can get from there. So that's fine. Technically 4 more singles and I can get the last ticket from there. Yeah, that should probably be when I... Well, I've seen a beach on singles multiple times. And it's always been a dupe, like 90%. Or maybe closer to 70% of the time, I don't know. I don't keep track. But most of the time it's just dupes when I get a beach. I think I've only ever seen the, like, purple place, Star Reader, whatever, once. So it's quite rare to get that one. I think I can now get that ticket. And I think this ticket will be my last pull on this banner now. And I think we should probably move on now. Because I don't want to pull too much on this banner. I do still really want the part 2 arc. I'm not sure if I should keep pulling on it or what. Even though I did say earlier I should probably just take my time. Yeah, Star Readers is... The reason why seeing Star Readers is so good is because it guarantees an on-banner thing. So that's why it's so rare and I want to see it. Because if I see it right now, it would mean you got an on-banner thing that you don't have. Because I don't have anything on it. You have to think. The people that don't think and just pull have negative money, no money, and no crystals. I'm probably going to end up buying that, but let's hope it doesn't come to that. I don't know. I'll do a single in here. That will give me 1 ticket. I got almost as much as you, well. Okay. Yeah. Well, I like having at least a little bit of paid crystals. And by a little bit, I mean 30,000 or less. Some people have like 100,000 paid crystals, they're crazy. Why not just buy it? Because I could get it from summons, and it could end up saving more. But I know the chance is very small. We still going? I mean, maybe. I Also, I do want to show this while I'm here. This banner, I did say I was probably gonna do it, but like, I don't think it's worth doing this, is it? I don't think it's worth 6,000 paid crystal to do this. I would like this one. This one, I don't actually want. Well, it would be okay, but I don't actually want it. So, I mean, I'm probably not gonna do it, and I shouldn't. I know, but like, it's just a PvP thing, so I really want Lilahar Amgel, but again, it's mostly PvP. So, I'll see if I get one more red, and then we're gonna be moving on. Even though I said I was gonna stop, I never do because I don't stick to my word ever in my life. I should probably move over to Steam. I'm not gonna be using any more paid crystals. Yeah. I'm gonna go to Steam now, and I will do some showcase in a moment. I refuse to ever do a multi in my life unless it's tickets. It's a rule. Well, it's not really, but it's the smart thing to do. Even though I'm not smart anyways, but it's one step towards that anyways. I'm just joking. Hang on. Okay. I've still got 158,000, so I don't mind going until I get one red and then stopping. If that happens, just an if. Who knows what the next ban is going to be? No idea. I think there's still Prefect of God units and stuff that we haven't gotten as a unit yet from the story. I don't think I should pull on this banner. Paid crystals don't share from Android to Steam. That's why it doesn't show up here, because I switched to Steam. Judeka, that's the Prefect of God. Oh yeah, I know what's coming. I'm just remembering all of the like Shiflog's stuff and the gods and the stuff happening. How the hell did you get 15 paid crystals on Steam? You must have... I don't know. I don't want to pull anymore. This one's the last one. I'm gonna call this one the last one. A mag, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't want to do any more summons on this banner now. I'm gonna stop there, I think. I don't think we even get any more tickets in this banner. Just the unfortunate thing is I got like nothing at all from this entire banner. And there's no more tickets. Which makes me want to pull. But technically I don't actually need anything in here. She's just fun. And this is not technically that useful, so I could just... I think I should skip. Yeah, I know. You're trying to persuade me to do more summons and make my crystal count 0, but it's not going to work. Yeah, that's the thing though. That's why I'm like, I shouldn't pull because I've already got Christmas Rem. And she's just a damage dealer. Because I've got Christmas Rem, she's kind of not even necessary, I would say. But she would work in like raid bosses. I'm not gonna do any more. I'm not really a fan of slime. Like, I don't watch anime. I'm not that type of person that watches anime. I just play games. Yeah. Because the way I see it right now is, I don't have Sheltier because this is on my newer accounts. My older account had maxed out Sheltier, but not this one. I'm just thinking I don't really need Hinata because Christmas Rem. So yeah, I try to pull more for useful units, right? And units I like. But people are trying to persuade me to do more summons. And I want to and I don't want to at the same time, okay? Yeah, I'm probably not going to do summons. Thanks for stopping by anyways. If I think hard enough, my brain tells me I don't actually need anything in the banner. It's just I want it. I don't need it. I just want it, I don't need it. There's a difference. Well, I have thought of a few things recently. I could do like a stream. Don't do it. I know. I'm not gonna do it, okay? I want to, but I'm not. But I should not. But I want to, but I won't. I'm just trolling you guys at this point, aren't I? I shouldn't. Yeah. I mean, I've already done a significant amount of pulls in this banner. Have I? I haven't even done 100 yet, so that's not really a significant amount, is it? I can't decide. I can't decide. I don't need it. Mugenic stream. Yeah, so here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing, right? I have considered streaming other things, but this channel's kind of built around this game, and switching over to different games is kind of difficult. This is like the game that I'm most knowledgeable in. That's why I cover it, because I know the most about it. If I were to cover something else, I would feel like I can't really be too helpful, considering things like Wuthering Waves and stuff, I'm not super knowledgeable in every single detail. And people probably wouldn't watch them, because people just hear the last Cloudia. I also considered recently for trying to get a webcam and trying to switch the channel more to a gacha, try and turn it into a gacha channel, but like other YouTubers do that, but I haven't gone through with it because I don't know, probably not confident enough to do that, and I just don't think it's going to work out. That's the things I'm worried about. But I am considering on getting a new computer soon. I haven't decided yet. So I do want to start moving on to the showcase now, okay? So we should probably do that. And yes, I do have the units. Should I try to build them right now, real quick? You know, I think I will. Also, I've been messing around with the base form of Rimuru a little bit. Yeah, well, arena reset, new arena season happened today, so that usually happens at the start of arena, with a bait team at least. I don't focus on it too much. I don't care about ranks, just more of a for fun really. So I've been using Rimuru a little bit. I don't think he's that crazy. Like, I tried him in arena. Technically, yes, he can work, but he's not meta and he's not going to do too much damage. So he's interesting. Yeah, I give him Meteor Rain and he can do some damage, like a little bit, to kill the squishy units, like Shifterluch and Amelia, the more squishy units. But any tanky unit whatsoever is not going to take much damage from him, unfortunately. And if you try to give him non-stacking magic, I just don't think it's going to work. I think he's better of a revive type unit that can do a little bit of damage, and it's kind of a bait unit, I would say, because not many... He's probably going to be rated quite low on the tier lists, so when people see him in arena, they're going to be like, oh, just an easy team that has a Rimuru. Joke's on you, it's my team, you're screwed. Get ducked. Quack. I'm never saying that again, okay? I'm not saying that. Anyways, let's have a look at Benimaru. I'm going to build him a tiny bit, okay? My plan is to just see his base damage, get him to level 100, see what his base damage is like. In the normal stage you always do, he should probably hit significant damage. I'm just curious of what his actual base numbers are looking like, because that does give me like a good idea of how his performance is going to be when he's properly built. So yeah, I don't really care too much about the arena reset. I'm just going to be... I leave my attacks for the next day anyways. I did get a rainbow potion yesterday, so I'm going to use that. And then put on his accessory. Of course, I will go over recommended equipment in a minute. I'm just going to be teaching him unlocking these skills first of all. Yeah, I do think he's a cool unit. Something you probably don't know about me is I do like space and like seeing like a moon and stuff like that I think's pretty cool. Having like a moon in the background is cool to me. I do like his artwork. I never appreciate all the artwork in this game that often, and I really should. Because I still like it a lot. Especially like some of the arcs. But let's unlock everything. And I've also got to show you what his ward is. So his ward, 1% fire damage. Yeah, the artwork is underrated. It doesn't feel old. It feels, you know, unique in its own place, and it's great. 1% fire damage is nice. Even though it's not going to be that much of a difference, it's still nice to have it. There we go. I'm just going to leave him like this for the moment. Nice stats already, don't even have any equipment on right now. I'm going to go over some recommended equipment. That's very useful. I know they always do this for collab units, but it would have been nice to know more about them. Yeah, he scales off defense. I went through his entire kit already, but let's have a look at some good equipment options. So, he does have a 6th enhanced skill that requires a fire sword, and he does need a sword, at least one, because he has sword giga boost, some sword skills. So, highly recommended. You must have a sword, even if it's a terrible sword. You need to have at least one sword, and if you have a fire sword, that's going to be his best choice, especially for PvP, because ideally you're going to be single wielding in PvP, so you would like to have a fire sword. Like Kagosuchi is a very good one. I'm going to be using this because this is a very strong one for him. Strength, defense, critical rate, fire, physical damage. It's a very good one. It's probably the best alternative to his paid weapon. I would consider using that one if you have it. If you don't have that one, because it is from a UR arc that not everyone's going to have, then it's probably best to, you know, maybe use like a Phantom Blade or something if you have these, because it's not too bad. There isn't that many good fire swords. Technically, you could have a normal sword, like any sword like Muramasa you could use. You could use this just fine, and then your second weapon could be a fire weapon. He can't equip machines, but you could always give equip machine skill for 2SC if you want. Probably give Muramasa. You could have Muramasa plus a second fire weapon. Like, this one's decent because 35% strength, more strength. They added 2 characters in this rerun. In total, though, there's quite a lot of characters now in this collab, but I know there's a lot of characters in the anime itself, so there could be more characters they could add in the future. Currently there's 4, 6, 7, 8, so there's 8. There's 8 characters from this collab right now, which is quite a lot. This is the collab that's had the most reruns. This is a staff, a spear, but it's not recommended because you can only single wield it. There's really not many fire weapons, so maybe there is a fire claw, you can use that one, but I didn't make that, I don't think. Trials of Mana. I'm not sure. It feels like there's more in here because of the shift forms and stuff. I don't know, I haven't counted, but yeah. Highly recommend dual wielding in PvE content. Have at least one sword and one fire weapon. If you don't have a good fire sword, you could always just give Muramasa and then see if you have any other fire weapons available on your account. I believe there is a good fire claw. I don't think there's any fire machines that I have, so it's probably claw, but that doesn't have the best skill boost for claws, but still. Could be alright. Could go Muramasa plus Godforged Claw, because it's fire, maybe. But yeah, if you have the fire swords, like this one, or the Phantom Blade, then the second one can be anything you want, because you want to have a sword and you want to have a fire weapon. If you've got a fire sword, then the second one, doesn't matter what it is. You can just give him your best weapon that you have. Mechanical Gods, I don't remember which one that is. I think I do, yeah. I think I do. Actually, there is a fire machine, I'm just remembering there is one. There is a fire machine that I do have. I would have to give him, you know, equip machines, which I don't currently have, but for the second weapon, I think I'm just going to go with any random weapon for now, like Aragami Sword is good. If there's a weapon that also gives defense, that could be interesting. Not that one. Something like, physical damage, defense, you know. Yeah, if a unit has a light attribute weapon, their normal attacks will be light. So their normal attacks won't get the boosts, but it doesn't change the boosts the elements of the skills themselves. I think I'll just go with this for the moment, just for the showcase. There are better options, I think. There's definitely better options. You can go with that, yeah, Fire Machine, if you've got that one. Yeah, the Ragnar Blaster, I definitely have that one, but you have to give him a Mimicry, you know, the machine equip skill. That is definitely recommended though, because machines have defense piercing, and those are pretty strong. But if I was thinking of arena, I'd probably just go with one sword. Fire Dragon, I don't remember. But yeah. I'm gonna go with this for now. This one could be good, but I don't think I need that, so I'm just gonna go with these two for the moment. And the accessories... Also, if you're single wielding, it's probably clothes or armor. Maybe this one would be pretty good. Yeah, I know, it's kind of funny. You know, it would be hilarious if it counted as a sword, as another weapon, because then you'll get more stats and more from his trait too. Would be hilarious. I think this could be good. This gold one, wouldn't really recommend that on him honestly, because that's best for tanks. This one's probably better. This one's very good. Bravery Raiment's always a great one. This one for damage mitigation, potentially. Like, it's just all the generic ones you would normally use on other units. Yeah, he does have clothes, but they're the event clothes, which unfortunately are very old ones that are useless. So, yeah. I think I'm just gonna go with Bravery Raiments, because that one seems like the best. Take less physical damage, more skill damage. You could also go with Synclead Armor. Any of these could be quite strong, honestly. Take less damage, more damage cap. Not the best. I'm just gonna go with that. For single wield, if you were to single wield, it would be something like this. But I'm gonna dual wield for PvE content. We'll just go with this. Yeah, let's have a look at some more accessory options then. So, fire damage dealer that uses a sword and also scales off defense is what you should remember when looking for recommended equipments. Obviously, anything with fire damage or something like this would be great. Absolute weakness and anti-type damage is going to be great. This one's okay. There are better ones though, but if you don't have the better ones, then it's still pretty good. This one gives defense and strength and skill damage, so it's not bad. That one could be a good option if you have that one. Master Core, if you have this, it is from a collab though. It is a very strong one though. 15% fire damage, strength defense, it's a pretty solid one. Brave Star Pendant for Battlegraph Simulator all the time. This crown, I'm probably going to be using this one most of the time. This seems like the best idea, because 30% fire damage, 10% attribute weakness damage. It's going to be very good. It doesn't give any defense or elements resistance, but it's still one of the strongest ones that you can use. And of course, Fabled City Bracelet. Stun and illness resistance could actually be nice, and it gives strength and defense, so this could be worth using in some cases where you want to have the element resistance, because it also gives damage and those stats, so it's not bad. And I think that's most of the accessories. I'm just going to go with this. The kind of best in slot would look something like this. These two accessories is definitely going to be his best accessories to use. And Kagutsuchi, if you don't have his paid sword, this one's going to be his second best option. And the second weapon could honestly be anything you want, really, if you have a fire sword, that is. Machines are very good for PvE content. You could even give him like Mecha Cannon Veldis or something. That could be nice. But as a reminder, he's not going to be that great in PvE content anyways, so don't expect too much from him. But PvP single wielding with closer on armor is going to be ideal. Probably close, it's going to be a bit better. But yeah, I'm going to go with this for the showcase and try him out like this, I suppose, and see how he does. So I'll leave that for the equipment for now. And 5,000 strength already is quite good. That is because of his, skill that increases strength of each weapon by 200%. If he can be a burst unit in guild battles, then maybe, but here's the problem with that though. The problem with that is most people use Ruto, and he can't do much about a Ruto, because Ruto just doesn't take damage for 10 seconds. So that's the problem, right? So unless you have like Benimaru plus Shiflog Zeus to kill the supports, and maybe he can kill, I don't know, I'm just thinking. Yeah, you could give him Trishula. I don't have mine built yet though, so that's why I can't give him anything else until I teach him some skills. But this is just a generic one to try him out, just to see like his base for performance really, even though these equipments are quite strong. Let's awaken him as well, as much as we can. The more stats the better. He should get some quite high stats, I think. And then we'll go into a story stage just to see what his damage looks like, and then we'll properly have a look at his animations and stuff in the unit test play quest afterwards. Already 6,000 strength's pretty nice. You can see the defense isn't that high for the moment. Probably because I'm dual wielding. And he's not 6th enhanced yet. So let's try him out like this. I'm not giving him any skills or anything, just a level 100 to see his base damage, because I like to do that. And then I suppose Counselor 10, even though I don't have it leveled up, I could, I just don't want to because it's not worth it. And we'll try him out real quick in a story stage just to see what his damage is looking like. He should hit very hard because he has Human Buster, and the enemies might be weak to fire, I'm not sure, but because he's got Human Slayer, it's going to be quite strong, I think. Should have no problems hitting hard against them, which means I should probably find a different stage, but I like to do it anyways. Just have a look. So let's see, I'm just doing it to see what his damage is like. Council 10 will restore a little bit. I just want to see what his actual damage numbers are looking like against these weaker enemies. Stats are already pretty good. Of course he has a boost skill damage for the next skill that you use. Yes, he has Buster, but I always do the stage. Yeah, like, I basically expected that to happen. Okay, right. Let's go to a different one then, right? Let's go in the other one that has God types then, right? Let's go to the other one, because they're similar, but just not human types. If he hits damage cap there, then I would consider that to be pretty good, but he does that 60% damage of the first skill used, and I think he did get lucky on that attack and got the extra damage caps, so yeah, that was probably why that happened. Yeah, they've all got 0 to fire, and they are god types. I'll use a skill 1. Eh, eh, eh. Y- y- I don't know if it's just me, but he seems to hit very hard already. I know these are weak enemies, but usually when I do showcases like this, the units don't hit damage cap that reliably at least. So that is good to see. Now I need to go against a more difficult one, which I know for sure he's not going to hit damage cap against. And that is Prefect of God 0. I'm going to do that real quick. This is just base skills, by the way. Yeah, his arena damage makes me, like, feel like I'm in danger. I'm not in a bus though, but I'm still in danger. It was this one, wasn't it? I think. It was one of these anyways. Yeah, so Prefect of God 0 is a god type and has 50 fire resistance, so in theory, Benimaru should not hit damage cap and shouldn't hit that hard, but I'm just doing this for science. That was because he had the 60% extra damage buff, and now it's gone. That's the kind of numbers you're going to be seeing, which is kind of what I expected. It's honestly a bit better than I expected, but yeah, when he gets that damage boost from that 100% damage boost, it's quite a significant difference. And now, physical barrier, cut physical damage, limit applies. Yeah, this one, it seems like this trait, this one, the give a physical attack damage taken minus 50% buff to the ally that had the lowest defense. It seems like that buff is this physical barrier, which means it does apply to himself. It can apply to himself if he has the lowest defense or if he's just by himself. And because this is a different icon, this will stack with high protection as well. Or, I got a better idea. I'm gonna just go in with Susanoo, Susina, Sneezenor. I'm gonna go in with that, and we'll see what that looks like. Just for science, just to see what it's like. But honestly, it is quite impressive so far. But I do have some strong accessories on right now, strong equipment. I'll look at his stats. 10,000 strength already. Yeah, Sussy no. Sussy no. No, Sussy, no. Don't want it, Sussy, no. Skill 3 is going to damage. Okay. He's probably going to die, isn't he? Yeah. I expect that because I didn't build any damage mitigation to it. As expected. But you can see how much damage he's taking for something like that. Most of his damage mitigation is from physical damage mitigation, and there are no living allies in the team, so and he wasn't using a skill either. So because of that, most of the damage mitigation in his kit he wasn't getting from that special. That's why he died there. And of course he has a weakness to ice as well, which makes sense. But now let's actually try and see how much damage we're doing here. If I... Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm not fast enough, clearly. But I did use a skill, which technically I don't think that mattered, did it? Or did it matter? Did I take less damage because I was in a skill? I think I did. I think the numbers were different. Also, continues are free, by the way. But of course, I'm not going to have the stats, so I'm just going to try again. Let's just do this quickly. Yeah, so because I used a skill, he did take less damage from that special, which is quite nice. So if you're spamming skills... Okay, the skill one is just not quick enough. The skill one is just not quick enough, you have to use a skill 3. Noted. I'm trying to do something here and it won't let me. Unless I just... Nah, don't worry. Let me try skill 3. I'll do a skill 3. The skill 3 should in theory be fine. You know what's funny is I think in Arena, he should be able to tank 0. I'm not entirely sure. Spam this button. There you go, there's some damage cap numbers that you like to see. Well, you know, I know I'm just doing a solo showcase right now to see what he can do by himself. Well, what do you mean? I don't expect him to cap anyway. No Slayer, level 100, not even 6th enhanced skills unlocked yet. So I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, let's. I just wanted to try that out to see kind of like his base performance at a low investment, like literally 0 investment. And it seems like his base kit is already enough by itself to hit quite hard. And that makes me worried that in PvP, once he's fully built, he's probably going to be quite good. Yeah, because based off of what I saw just there, he was already doing quite significant damage to a god type unit that had 50 ice resistance. And he didn't have God Slayer. So I think that was pretty good. And when this 100% damage activated, I think he did hit damage cap on some of those. So that was quite strong, honestly, considering this was just level 100. But you've got to think about the fact that I'm using strong accessories. 30% damage, you know. So maybe that was why. I could just go remove them, but it'll be a similar outcome, I think. But yeah, now let's actually start having a look at him more properly by going into the unit test play quest and trying him out right here. So yeah, the equipment's definitely did a lot. I could tell that. 3 weapons right here, sure. Because he was still missing 20% and another 20% and some stats. So he was still missing some of these base skills. This arc will give some damage. And damage cap. So let's try him out in here. I want to take the time to have a look at all of his animations and everything. See what they're like. Current stats. Almost 6,000 defense, honestly is pretty good. Considering he doesn't have an armor. And this is just base equipment. It's honestly pretty decent stats. So I do like seeing that. I think his defense could be pretty high. because none of these equipments are giving any defense percent or anything. It's just his traits. Obviously he has an arc equipped and all that stuff. So normal attack of course is going to be at close range. Nothing really to say about it. You're not really going to be using his normal attack ever really. So you can just ignore that. And his skill 1 is a long range skill. So you can use this anywhere. But it is kind of slow. It's quite slow. And I don't like how slow it is. But you can spam it at least. You can spam it, but it's still just too slow. The DPS is going to be very bad. It does look cool though. I like seeing a fire tornado. But I just wish it was quicker. Because, yeah, apparently enemies can dodge it, which I don't think this will be that good, honestly. I don't think it's going to be very good. Because enemies can just walk out of it. And it's kind of a small area as well around the enemy. It's probably not going to do too much, and you're probably not going to be using that in arena. Most of the time you're going to be using your other skills. So now let's get into more interesting skills. Skill 2 is a lot better, and I feel like his skill 2 could be quite strong for PvP, and you'll see why. Is it launches the enemy into the air quite high, right? So things like Sky High 2 and Sky High 1 are both going to be quite good here. This will be, it reminds me of Prefect of God Zero. And yeah, kind of like Claude. It's similar to a lot of skills we've seen in the past. But it is a good one though. Because it's a lot quicker. It's not the fastest, but it's a lot better than his skill 1, that's for sure. And I think, I'm trying to see, does it launch the enemy on literally the first hit? Because if it does, that's going to be quite good. It might do, because it launches the enemy very quickly, you can see. Which does help against tanks, because tanks can only guard when they're on the floor, on the ground. So if you launch the enemy quickly, then they can't guard. Same thing with counter type units, is they won't be able to counter that if they're in the air. Obviously they go to the floor afterwards, but it's a very strong skill. I think this is going to be the best one for PvP potentially, and the fact that it launches the enemy away, you might be able to catch other enemies in here, or you can push the tank back into the back lines. So pretend this is the tank and there's like a support over here or something. You could then use a skill 2 and launch the enemy into where the supports are. That could be quite good. So I am a fan of this. If I try and spam this, it's going to be a bit better than the skill 1, but it's not going to be anything crazy. Like, it's solid enough, but not that crazy. But still, I do like that skill. That's the one skill I do like. It's a pretty nice one. And for PvP, it's definitely going to be a good one. Now, his skill 3 is the biggest question mark. Let's have a look at this one. So, you can use this anywhere. And it's a wide area attack. It looks cool, but it does have, you can see, he like sets his sword on fire with like a dark flame before he even does the attack first. Enemy with super armor won't go into the air. If they have flinch resistance, then they won't get launched. But units like Melzer can get launched unless they guard before that happens. Yeah, I just wish the skill 3 was a bit better, you know, because to me it just seems like it's very single target focused. Right? Like, if I'm looking at the area itself, it's kind of small. I mean, maybe those slashes could end up hitting other enemies. but that fire itself at the end is very small that I don't think it's going to be hitting many other enemies. I was hoping it was going to have a wide enough area to hopefully hit multiple enemies, but it doesn't seem that crazy. But it is a closer gap skill, so that's the main positive with this one. And if I try and spam it, it's unfortunately not the best. The main positive is that delay at the beginning doesn't happen the next time you use it, so you can technically chain them together. What if I use like a skill 1 into a skill 3 or something? Yeah, it does remove the animation, this animation, where he takes his sword out. If you're using a different skill first and then a skill 3, he instantly slashes the enemy. So that's just something to point out. Maybe you can do like a skill 2 into skill 3 and it could be better if you combo these two together. I mean, I just don't like at the end of the skill 3, there's a delay and it doesn't let you use the next skill. The skill 2 has a line of sight. Let me just check what it looks like. Yes, it's kind of close. You've got to be kind of very close for the skill 2 to use it, unfortunately. Yeah, his damage cap isn't great, but you can improve it quite a bit, especially if you stack a bunch of defense ups. But that's just coping, because he's going to be bad in PvE content, he's mostly PvP. Yeah. Now let's have a look at his special. This looks cool. And the last hit gets more damage cap. It's not going to do too much, honestly. Hinata's special is a lot better, but it's only single target. Benimaru has a special that can hit all enemies. So let's just see how much it does exactly. I mean, it's not too bad. It's not too bad, but it's not that crazy either. So, yeah. I think if you were to use him in Arena, you're probably going to be ending up using his skill 3 the most. Because then he'll be getting into the action with his skill 3. Almost 19 mil isn't too bad, but Hinata is definitely better. She's got higher damage caps on her special, even though it's only one hit. I think Benimaru should have an easier time to hit damage cap on the special. I'm just guessing. And the fact that his special damage will scale off of defense as well. So it could be nice. It's not bad, but it's nothing crazy either. Yeah, and none of his other skills launch the enemy into the air, by the way. Only the skill 2 launches the enemy in the air. And skill 3 doesn't. And skill 1 doesn't. So I think his best skill is probably skill 2 for Arena. Because you can get sky high damage. Another thing I want to check is, can any of these skills take advantage of backstab skills? Because that is quite important for PvP units. Are any of the hits on his skill 3 considered a backstab hit? Obviously skill 1 won't, of course. Skill 2 is all just front attacks, that's not either. But skill 3 could technically be backstab hits, and I think it should be. Yeah, there should at least be one hit of backstab, because the enemy is now facing in this direction. Now they're facing this way. I would guess that backstab and surprise attack should work. I think. And I do want to test that out. But let's do this one more time. This time I'm just going to try and kill the enemy as fast as I can. And we'll leave it there for the showcase. Skill 2 is probably going to be the best. It's not very quick, as you can tell. It's very slow compared to Hinata's DPS. Yeah, it's not very good. That's kind of the best you're going to get out of him, I think, is spamming skill 2 and skill 3. Maybe skill 3 is slightly faster, I don't really know yet. But, you know, don't expect too much from his actual DPS numbers, because Hinata's just a lot better of a PvE DPS unit. And that isn't his main role. His main role is going to be a PvP units. Right, so now we've done all the showcase there, I might as well test a few things. So, just to be sure, I do want to try out surprise attack and backstab skills, just to confirm that they will proc from his skill 3, because if they do, then I think his skill 3 could end up being quite a bit stronger than it actually looks. Because backstab and surprise attack are a lot of damage modifiers. It's a lot of damage if you can proc both of those. So I'm just going to quickly teach him a couple of skills, and then we'll see how that is. So, surprise attack and backstab, I don't remember which arcs they are. Let's just have a look. It'll probably be all day, but actually I think there's one on one of these arcs somewhere. You would think I would memorize it by now, but I don't. There's backstab, it's good enough. I just want to get backstab to see it activate. And then I can give backstab to him, and just for science. I'm pretty sure it's going to work. Yeah, Beast Hunter. I just want to have one of them on just to see it show up. And if it does show up, then we know for a fact. You might want to do it against enemies that can flinch. And I don't think Prefect of God Zero can flinch from skills. Maybe it can. I don't remember. Let's just have a look. Yeah, I'll be teaching him everything on my own at some point. I just wanted to try this. For science. It is backstab. Yeah, you can. It does activate backstab. I don't know why he attacked me just then, but oh well. That's quite good then, and I'm worried. Okay, so because that activates backstab, you know what I think? It's kind of hard to tell. Let me just do this one more time to try to see if I can have a look properly. I don't know how many of the hits are hitting backstab or hitting the enemy from behind. It's hard to tell. I don't know if it's just the final hit or... Because I'm thinking, like, every time he goes, like, side to side, like, back and forth, that could be activating backstab each time that he does that, maybe? Shift Log Zayas doesn't. because that's just the animation. The animation itself isn't what causes a backstab, in most cases at least. Shivlog's S can activate backstab from a skill 1 though, because it goes through the enemy. So you're looking for skills that go through the enemy. Yeah, the unit's location. So if the unit is located behind the enemy, then that's how it activates. Yeah. In the perfect world, if you could activate Sky High and Backstab at the same time, that would be insanely good. Now, I just want to know, does Sky High activate from his skill 3? I don't think it does, but now I have to know, okay? And that's going to be the final test I do today. I just want to find that out, because if it can technically launch the enemy in the air a tiny bit to activate Sky High, because they just need to be off the floor, that's it. So maybe the enemy is and I just can't see it. I'm coping, but you know, you never know until you actually try it out. So I'll try it. Sky High is on. My memory tells me Sky High is on. No idea. I know Sky High 2 is on a UR isn't it? So I could just put that one on. Which is right about there. There we go. I'm just going to give him Sky High 2, just so I can see if it shows up when using a skill 3. If the answer is yes, then I'm scared. Simply put. Because damn, that's a lot of damage, if that is possible. But I don't think it's gonna do that though. I'm just testing it just in case, because I need to know. For science, I must know. If you see a Sky High up here, then you know activate at least once. Sky High 2. Sky High 2. Okay, that's annoying. So, well, here's the thing though. The question is, if Sky High and Backstab actually activate at the same time, right? I think the answer was no, because I only saw Sky High activate once the fire came up. So after all the slashes, there was the fire, right? Let me just show you one more time. Is Sky High didn't appear up here until all the slashes were done. And the question is, if Sky High and Backstab right there is right now, so that's when it appears. So most of the skill's not going to get the boost from it, right? But it does still get some boost from it. And the question I'm not going to have an answer to is that exact hit that procs Sky High also activating Backstab? I don't know. I don't know the answer for that one. If the answer is yes, then you're going to see some insane numbers in PvP. But I have no idea, because I can't test that because that's just way too specific. Technically this does activate Sky High too. Well, it was. Now it's not. Weird. Let's see if I can get another skill 3 before he does a special on my face. Yeah, if they both activate at the exact same hit, on the exact same hit, then his damage is going to be insane. If he gets the plus 100% damage and the plus 60% damage, Sky High 1, Sky High 2, Backstab, and Surprise Attack at the same time, then you've got a problem with a insanely strong damage dealer in PvP. It's hard to tell, really. It's really hard to tell, but it does activate. It's just not from many hits. So, yeah. I don't know if they both activate at the same time, but it might be worth giving him Sky High, because once he doesn't have any skill 3s, hopefully he'll end up using skill 2s after that. So you don't want him to use any skill 1s, but you want him to use skill 2 and skill 3 for PvP, ideally. So that's interesting to know. Yeah, getting all of them is pretty nice. I am still kind of on the fence about what I exactly want to try and get, but I know for a fact I want to get the Arc. I think part 1 I'm just going to skip, because I don't think there's enough value on this one. I think I should leave it there for today. Pretty sure I covered everything I wanted to, unless anyone has any questions. 100,000 more crystals from that, it's nice. And obviously before we end it, I do want to spend some time talking about the entire collab itself, and like what I think about every one of these units and arcs, because there is a lot in this collab itself, so that will take some time. Right, so I'll leave it there for today. Conclusion for this entire collab: I do like this collab, I think it's a nice collab, right? But it's not the best, because it doesn't have any long-term support units, and it doesn't really have any insanely meta or game-breaking, game-changing skills from limited arcs. So it's not on the same scale as like Devil May Cry or Honey Elixir skills and stuff like that. So yeah, some people may consider this to be kind of a below average, like a bit of an underwhelming collab, because of the fact that it doesn't have anything crazy and it's just normal damage dealers and stuff like that. But if you don't think of it like that, I think they did a good job with these new units. Yeah, but with Ryza actually had some supportive skills, but this collab, they're just damage dealers. The only technically support unit that you could be considered a support is Diablo, but he doesn't have insight, so he's just, you know, power crept at this point. But yeah, I do like these two new units. I think they did a good job with these units. I really like Hinata. I don't have her, but I have done some testing with her and seen other people use her. She's pretty damn strong. If you don't have a Christmas Rem, she's definitely a good unit to have, because she's quite good in PvE content, and she's quite fun. She's got her unique magic spell that she can cast, as well as using her own skills, and her special that has insanely high damage cap. She's quite a fun unit, so I think they did a good job with her. And with part 2, I think part 2 is pretty good. You've got a very strong arc, and Benimaru unfortunately isn't that good in PvE content, but based on the testing I've done today, it seems like he could be quite a strong PvP unit. So in Arena, he has potential to be quite strong, because he has a lot of mitigation in his kit, and when I tested him, it seemed like he had quite a lot of damage potential, and was already hitting those damage cap numbers quite easily with a dual wield build and without any skills taught to him as well. And he can activate backstab and sky-high skills, so he has some potential and is going to need some more testing. So I do recommend to wait a few days, because this has a week left, so people are going to be rushing trying to get him, you know, tested quickly, because this only has a week left for the banner. So I would recommend to wait like maybe 3 days or something and try and search up any information on his performance, or try and do some arena battles against Benimaru to see how he's doing against your team, stuff like that, to really see his end game performance, because the testing I've done today is just based off his base kit, and I think his base kit looks promising for PvP, but actual testing could be different than what I've done, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I do think part 1 and part 2 are pretty good. I do like these banners. There's nothing crazy in them, but not everything has to be crazy good, right? They are still considered good banners, and I do like part 2 because of the arc. The arc is just such a strong arc that it's worth trying to get if you can. For the Tempest for Heavenly King skill, it's just such a strong skill, and yeah, I do like this banner, and I think they've done a better job with this collab than what they've done in the past. I think the first time this collab came around, it was many years ago. I don't quite remember it, so I don't have much memory on that. But the first rerun of the collab had the shift forms of Milim and Rimuru. I thought Shift Rimuru was pretty good. Shift Milim was kind of mid, and then we had the other 2 units, which had one mid unit and one good unit. So I think they did a better job this time around, having both units, part 1 and part 2, that could be quite strong, both of them, honestly. So I do like seeing that, and we've got some useful arcs in here too, well, part 2 arc. So I do like what they've done this time, and in regards to the Redux, there's nothing crazy in here, and if you want to, you know, go back to my review of what you should be getting from Redux, then you can have a look at my part 1 stream, because I cover all of the Redux stuff in there. Some of the part 1 units have been tested a little bit. It turns out that the best ones are definitely both of the forms of Rimuru and the base form of Milim, I think, have been tested. The other 3 I haven't really seen any testing on yet. These 2 don't have insight, so they don't really need testing because they're just outdated. Shift Milim probably isn't going to change too much. The base form of Rimuru is decent, but I don't recommend pulling for any of these units because they're not going to be meta. Base form of Rimuru can work as like a bait unit. I like him personally. I've been using him. He can do a little bit of damage, but nothing meta in here. Milim, some people have used her. She can be quite fun and is decent for her DPS, but not crazy. Some people have used her in Arena too, but I just think that's cope. I don't think she's a meta unit, but she can work if you like her at least. And Shift's Rimuru is solid as well, but none of these are meta. Same thing with him as well, is with testing, it seems like he can do some damage, but it's not crazy enough to be considered a meta unit. So yeah, those are all the units based off of testing that we've done over the past week at least, and what I've seen so far. And yeah, the 11 times damage on Milim's weapon is quite a lot, but I don't think it's going to change the fact that, you know, I don't think it's going to change anything, right? I think she's still going to be kind of average or underwhelming for a PvP unit, and we've just got much better options. I don't see a reason why you want to use her, because we have better options, that's the thing, really. Yeah, Shift Milim, I don't know, I think these 3 are kind of useless, and these 3 could technically be used in some way, but these 3 are kind of whatever, really. I think Shift Milim doesn't work in PvP, I don't think. Her insight didn't really change that. I haven't seen a single one, so I can't really say, I'm just guessing, but yeah, and we have better options, and Shift Logs exists, and all these arcs I've talked about in part 1, so I don't really need to go over those again. But yeah, some of these are pretty good, none of them are game-changing. Storm Dragon Veldora, for the name-giving skill, can open a few doors for some people, especially if you have Christmas Rem. Highly recommend to get this if you have Christmas Rem, because of name giving. It's a good synergy with Christmas Rem, because name giving cuts your HP and it can't kill the unit as well. So you can cast this twice and it will activate Christmas Rem's buff guaranteed when you use it twice. So I do think it's a good synergy with Christmas Rem, and if you have Christmas Rem, I do recommend to get this and pick this one, because that probably has more value than the other ones. Sworn Ally for besties, that's kind of it, but yeah. Some good stuff in here, just nothing game-changing, but it is nice to have a collab like this that has some interesting skills and some decent skills and units, but none of it is meta or game-changing. Some people may consider it to be, a bad thing because they feel like most of it's useless, but I understand that, but I also understand that everything being super strong would be a bad thing, and you don't want super meta things to be coming out constantly, right? So it is nice to have a collab like this that has some strong things that don't feel super necessary for your accounts, but they can be good depending on what you have on your account in some situations, right? And Benimaru could end up being the next best PvP unit in the game, who knows? It's going to require more testing, so I can't say anything on that yet. But yeah, I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about today. I do think this is a nice collab. This is the 4th rerun, I believe, or at least the 4th time this collab has came back to the game. So yeah, I hope that the next collab is either something new or a rerun that people have been asking for, like Dr. Stone. We really want that to come back. I'm hoping that comes back as the next rerun, because that is what I'm looking for, and a lot of players want is Dr. Stone, and I agree. I would like to have that collab back, and it's been a few years, and I think they deserve insight for all of those units. So I'm looking forward to that, if that ever happens. I'm hoping. Yeah, Lelouch probably not going to get a rerun for quite a long time, if ever, because he's still meta, and that was more recent, so I don't think that's happening anytime soon. Devil May Cry was recently, so that won't have enough rerun for another few years. ReZero was recent. We've had a lot of good collabs recently. And what's coming next? Well, next thing on the list in this game is there's probably at least 1 or 2 more Descent of Heroes units, and then there's or maybe a permanent unit in there if you're lucky, and then there's going to be an anniversary coming up in a few weeks. So after this collab is finished, it's probably recommended to start saving for the anniversary in most cases. But we're just going to have to wait and see what actually comes out, because you never know. There could be some insanely strong Descent of Heroes unit that comes out next, you don't know. And there could be some gods and, demonian type units and stuff releasing. Those could be quite interesting. But we're just going to have to wait and see on what happens, because we can't leak anything. Nobody knows what's coming up next. It's just a matter of waiting. So we're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, I have enjoyed this collab. I haven't done too much in this collab, but there is a lot to do in this week, because we have the damage rankings for all the units, apart from the insight units for some reason, starting tomorrow. And we've also got the time trials, which has already started, by the way. I haven't done it yet, so I don't exactly know what it's like because I haven't done it yet. But there is a time trial, and there's already 1 cheater. And how can I tell? Rank 24, very clearly cheating. Spot the cheaters. I only saw that one. I don't know. It's only, I can't say. Like, if they look like, it only looks very suspicious if they're like rank 10 or something, and it literally just started. So who knows? I'm gonna do this at some point, but not yet. And also we've got the Histomia stage to do. Shift Barcelo would be funny. God of Ruin. I've got an interesting thing. What if you have like gods combining with other gods? Like a God of Ruin Lilahar, something like that is a cool idea. I'm not telling Adis to do it, I'm just saying it sounds like a cool idea. So this is what came out today, and I do highly recommend to do this because there's double drops going on right now. You can get these keys to create that accessory, which is very strong. I'm going to be focusing on that over the next few weeks, and also messing around with his units. So I will be building him up more over the next few days probably, and to try him out, to see what he is like when he's fully built. And I'm quite interested to see how he does at low SC with, you know, a normal build, because if he can perform well at like 104 SC, then he's going to be a strong unit, guaranteed. But I'm going to wait on that. I don't think I've seen a single one in Arena yet. There might be some popping up like now or in the next few hours, because people do build them quite quickly, and it doesn't take very long either if you teach specific skills. But yeah, I'm going to leave that there for today. Thanks everyone for coming, and I might add the timestamps in the next 15 minutes or so. Immediately after the stream ends, I will start adding them. And I think we should be back next week, because all these events end in a week. So I think the next banner should be next Thursday. And there might be a weird schedule going on because anniversary is coming up in April. So we're going to have to wait and see what their plans are. I am looking forward to the 7th anniversary in this game, because they always do some good updates with the anniversary, with like a bunch of quality of life stuff, and occasionally we'll get some more major features. That doesn't always happen, but let's hope there's some good stuff coming up in the anniversary in a few weeks. We'll have to wait and see. I don't have any other plans for the moment. I'm just kind of, you know, chilling, grinding the game out really, and playing some other games too. I mean, it's kind of it. So, yeah. I'll leave that there then for today, and I'll see everyone hopefully next week for the next unit, and enjoy the rest of the collab. If you plan on summoning, hopefully you get what you're planning to get, what you want, because it only lasts another week, and just very important to know, it only lasts another week, so you've only got a week left. And there are no more tickets available, by the way. Just to show you one more thing, is in the login bonus, there are no more tickets available once you get everything from the login bonus and the event itself. And if you go to the present box, you'll get some tickets from the share and repost promo. That's all the tickets available, and I don't think there's going to be any more. So that's everything. Right, so yeah, it's 4 PM my time, so yeah, I'll leave it there for today. I'll add the timestamps right now, and I'll see you guys for the next unit stream. Wonder who that's going to be, who knows, no idea. Probably a story unit, but yeah, I'll see you.